WrestleMania 39 is on our doorstep. What's going on, guys? We are here to predict night 1 and night 2 of WrestleMania that begins in 2 days from now, Saturday, April 1st and Sunday, April 2nd. Luckily, WWE let us know today which matches are going to be on which night, so that will make it a little bit easier for our predictions. And man, I am ready to rock. I leave tomorrow morning for Los Angeles. The whip is gassed up. It's cleaned. There's a fresh Taylor Swift playlist all queued up. We're ready to rock and roll. So we're going to get up tomorrow morning, head up to LA, and really, really looking forward to seeing you guys, meeting everybody that's going to be going to the show, attending WrestleCon. We got a meetup tomorrow night near Staples Center, Crypto.com Arena, which is going to be really fun. I am stoked for the weekend. So this will be one final stream before we get to the weekend, but I don't think it's going to be the last thing you guys see from me on YouTube this weekend. I fully expect at some point for me just to upload a video from my phone right here to Good Mic Work Commentaries. Maybe I'll do a quick little recap in my hotel room after night 1 and post it to YouTube. If I have any great footage of the show or stuff that I've captured, I'm logged in on my phone to Bald Guy Wrestling. I'll be posting stuff over there. So the link to Bald Guy Wrestling is in the description below. Please go subscribe to that channel because you might be seeing stuff from WrestleMania weekend over there in terms of footage that I might record or take that might be interesting. But any sort of recaps, impromptu, low-tech live streams, I have no computer equipment with me, no mics, no laptops, no nothing. It's me and my iPhone 14. So that's all that you're going to get from me, if anything, throughout the weekend. But all the videos and footage and pictures and meetings that we do and the entire experience of WrestleMania weekend will be chronicled in a full video next week, probably no later, hopefully, than 1 week from today. Maybe 1 week from tomorrow. I would say late next week, I will have a full video review recap of my entire WrestleMania experience. But between now and then, it's just going to be little tidbits here and there on the channel. And I think my next live stream I'm going to plan for is going to be Monday night. I think we have to come up here and do a Raw review the night after WrestleMania. I'm going to be tired as hell. We're getting back Monday morning, so I'll have to get home, get the stream set up, watch Raw, make notes for it, come up and give you guys a review and a general recap of my experience at WrestleMania weekend. But the big video won't be coming until later on in the week once I get all that organized and edited. So that's on Greg's agenda for the next few days. And man, I'm ready to get going on this trip. One more night of work to bust out tonight, and then I'm home. Me and Elizabeth throw a bunch of shit in the suitcase, and we are in the car heading up to LA tomorrow. So it's going to be a blast. It's going to be a blast. In terms of this episode, it's going to be mostly WrestleMania related. I got a little bit of a peek at Dynamite last night, but not much. I got a little bit of a peek at Access last night, but not much. So in terms of what we're going to talk about there, just a few tidbits, nothing major. Also a little bit of wrestling news, just a couple of tidbits involving Vince McMahon and Timmy White being inducted into this year's Hall of Fame as the first referee, and he's going to be receiving the Warrior Award. So we'll talk a little bit about Dynamite, All Access, couple of news tidbits, the Hall of Fame, and then we will start predicting WrestleMania. And like I said a few hours ago, WWE did release which matches were going to be on which nights, but they gave no indication which was going to be the main event on night 1. They have Theory and Cena headline, but we know that's opening, so it's still up in the air who is going to main event. I personally believe at this point where we sit, it's going to be the tag title match. I think Triple H is maybe ribbing everybody. Everybody got themselves all in a tizzy and in a panic, and we're whining about the possibility of Charlotte and Rhea main eventing, and I think that might have been Dave stirring up shit for no reason. Might have gotten everybody riled up for nothing, and Triple H may have been intending to put the tags on last the entire time. I'm feeling pretty confident that he will, but I also think that Triple H might be playing it smart if he does intend to have Rhea and Charlotte main event. It's probably best not to let that out either. Just hit us with the tag match out of nowhere, middle of the card. That way the fans can't even really have time to complain because it'll be time for the tag match. The match will kick ass. It'll steal the show. Owens and Zayn will win the title. It won't do anything to harm them. You know, Shawn and Taker at WrestleMania 25, it did not hurt them not being in the main event. Hogan and Rock did not hurt them not being in the main event of WrestleMania 18. It's totally okay if it's not the main event, but I'm starting to think that it's going to be because of the awesomeness of the storyline. So we'll see. We'll be talking about all of that as well. And I think I've got my predictions pretty well set. I was a guest on Just Alex's channel on Monday. That was kind of my practice for my own predictions video because we did predictions over there. I'm not sure how many of my predictions over there, because I'm not even sure if I remember them, how many of them I'm going to keep the same. I might have changed one or two, but I think for the most part, I'm going to be mostly in line with what I said on Monday, but I might change a few things up. And I have a few more ideas in terms of finishes, surprises, things like that. One good thing about WrestleMania this year And one positive, and it's a very short list of positives in terms of WWE going through a sale, a potential. Oh, that's nice, Beetle 911. Great news to get on a podcast. I haven't even looked at the orange bag of liquid shit's legal problems in the last couple of days, so I don't know if they finally placed a set of cuffs on his fat ass or not, but it sounds like they have. Good, but we're not here to talk about politics or that bastard. We're here to talk about wrestling. And I forgot where I lost my train of thought there and what I was going to talk about, but I think it was. I like some of these ideas. Holy shit! I got to go over here and answer the chat as well. Well, I lost my train of thought once Beetle 911 dropped that bombshell on me. But in terms of this WrestleMania and where the matches are placed when they announced them earlier today, I kind of feel like they're all right where they should be. Maybe there's one or two. You guys can let me know which ones you guys would flip around or switch or anything like that. But in terms of like where they placed them, if I was doing it in my head, that's kind of where I had all of them too. I had Edge and Balor on night 2. I actually had Rey and Dom on night 1 because I thought that tomorrow night at the Hall of Fame, Dom might attack him, and it might be better to do that match the very next day instead of waiting a day. But that's the only one that might be a little weird. But in terms of everything else, I'm fine with where the women's matches are and where everything else is. It's totally cool. Night 1's got 7 matches. Night 2 has 6. And I think we're going to have some surprises in there. Oh, that's what I was talking about. Sorry, before that. That's what I was saying before Beetle 911 let us know that. What I was saying about WWE's transition period, moving into this stale, this very uncertain, uneasy time. Nobody knows what Vince McMahon's role in the company is creatively. WWE is insisting that he's not involved with creative at all, but he was at Raw a couple of weeks ago, and apparently he is going to be at WrestleMania, milling around, doing shit there too, so not really sure how much in control he is. Nick Khan, Bruce Pritchard came out and said he's not in control of creative at all, but we both know those guys are full of shit, and to take them both with a grain of salt. So nobody really knows truly what's going on. I'm certainly not going to be flying off the rails and say, Vince is back, and that's just the way it is. You know, who knows? Maybe he is, maybe he's not, but WWE, you can't really trust anything they're going to say about that. But the one good thing about this is WWE's trying to sell the company right now. They're in the middle of sale talks with all sorts of different potential buyers or suitors or future owners of this company. I would think that they want to present to those buyers the best possible WrestleMania that they can see in terms of the drama and the surprises and just the spectacle of it all. You would think they want to hit a home run here. So that might bode well for us fans, knowing that WWE really wants to present a good show here, one that's going to be remembered, talked about, and entertaining, to where some of these buyers might say, yeah, we got to take on a property like that. Like, look at the business these guys are doing. They sold out, 2 80,000 seat stadiums back to back, or an 80,000 seat stadium back to back nights. And they do that annually. They bring in a ton of business, ton of money. It's a great way to showcase exactly what WWE can do. And I think they should really load this up here and hit us with an extraordinarily fun show. Nothing that's going to piss off the fans. I think Triple H is setting the show up here to kind of usher in his new era. And I know there's a lot of debate. We're going to talk about it, about Cody and Roman. You do have a pretty large camp out there in the wrestling world that thinks Roman should retain for a various number of reasons, but none of them are good enough to me. Not the 1,000-day thing, nothing like that. I feel like I've said this before. If Roman and the Bloodline were running hard, there was no dissension, no problems, and they're still on top of the world, say like where they were a year ago, then I'd say Roman all the way. Cody doesn't stand a chance. But there's cracks in the foundation. There's cracks in the Bloodline. Great way to strike, give the fans a fresh champion, possibly use Cody's win as a way to usher in a belt ununification or divide the belts up somehow. Triple H finishing up, molding the roster how he wants it to look going forward with a fresh matchup, some fresh faces, some fresh championship belts apparently that might be coming in. And I feel because of all that, I'm still kind of leaning towards Cody. But there's also a story to be told with Roman. What if Roman instructs Jay to help him out and Jay says, fuck you, and turns his back on Roman, and then Roman wins anyway? That can set up a lot of great storyline too. So there's an argument to be made for both guys, but I certainly don't think any fan should be so crazy on one side. It has to be this way, and the other way would be a mistake, because that's stupid. I think there's an argument to be made for both guys here, but Greg is Team Cody, and you will find out why later. So There's some early thoughts on WrestleMania. Before we get going here, please do me a favor, smash that thumbs up button. Please subscribe if you have not yet already, and follow me on all the social medias, the Twitters, the Instagrams, over there on Facebook, because I will be posting a lot during WrestleMania weekend. Pictures, photos, videos, people I meet, shit like that. A lot of that stuff's going to be taking place on social media, so make sure you follow all the socials that are linked in the description below, and it's going to be fun. Let me cruise over here to the chat real quick and give you guys some brief shout outs, and then we will get rolling here. Let me get all the way back to the top. Good to see Chaz Medeiros. Nice. Glad you're here, my friend. Nick Musser, Financial Truth Academy, the Juliet. Ronnie, what's up, my friend? We have Max Pokebra in the house, and we have Red Raven Rucker. Spaz Phoenix is here as well. And Max, I got you rolling out some of the channel members. We also have Rodrigo. We've got Alex Dredge, Mark Simpson. Rarely Even is in the house. Jay Hamster, good to see you. Trekopedia, Mark Simpson. Roman will not drop the titles because WWE wants to see Roman hit the 1,000-day mark. Be surprised if Hunter makes Roman drop the titles. That's crazy to me. I understand the 1,000-day mark is attractive, but like I was saying too, I was kind of talking about Gunther maybe retaining the IC title so he can break Honky's record. As much as those milestones are great, you wouldn't want to sacrifice Cody for that. You know, I just don't think it would be worth it to have Roman get to 1,000 days over and then having Cody lose because of that. Here's another reason, and it's a weird one. Here's another reason why I think Cody is a shoo-in. Last night, 2 nights ago, me and Elizabeth watched the WrestleMania 38 WWE 24. I didn't even know that was out. Somebody mentioned it and posted a clip on Twitter, and I'm like, holy shit, I think the WWE 24 is out on Peacock. We should watch that. We watched it right away. And when you look at who they chronicled Rick Boogs and I forgot who else now, but all the little stories that they take you on, Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn and Knoxville and all that stuff. Another person that they kind of chronicled was Roman Reigns, and the whole show ended with Roman winning the title and following him to the match and after the match and, you know, the aftermath of that and following Roman around. What do you think they're going to do next year? I guarantee you that camera crew is following Cody around this year at WrestleMania, and he's going to be the focal point of next year's documentary, of next year's WrestleMania 39 WWE 24 doc. Cody is going to be the feature piece on that. He's going to be the final thing, the final person they talk about and show. I mean, I know they bounce around to everybody, but Cody will be on last, and it will probably be his journey to the championship, beating Roman Reigns, entering Gorilla, receiving the applause, receiving the hugs, maybe him and Roman coming together. All that stuff I think is going to be shown. Now, granted, you could still do that and show Cody lose, but what kind of story does that make? You know, and they're not going to feature Roman again because they showed him last year in his match with Brock. So when you think about something like that 24 doc, them cameras are going to be with Cody. And I think next year, if we watch that whole documentary, it would be really weird to see the cameras following Cody around his journey in the company, telling his story to how he came back a year ago, his injury, chronicling all that, following around the arena as he interacts with the legends and his peers, getting ready for the main event, and then going out there and losing. I'm not saying that's impossible. I'm just saying it doesn't seem like something that they would do. And I don't think the WWE 24 doc is going to necessarily determine a finish here, but I kind of feel like that's what WWE is going to do when you look at how those documentaries are structured and set up and stuff. So I think it's going to be Cody's year. Cody is the man. We're a long way before we even predict Cody and Roman, but I just figured I'd plant a flag there to let you know where I stand in case a lot of you guys are wondering how this match should go, who should win, what the right decision is, and whatever you want to do in terms of armchair booking. I don't think when it comes to Cody and Roman that there's one winner and one winner only that's sufficient. You know, maybe with Rhea and Charlotte, that's a different story. If Charlotte wins and beats Rhea Ripley and retains that title, fuck me. You know, but with Cody and Roman, you know, I think you could make a case either way, and nobody should be getting their panties in a tizzy over this at all. At all. We have Destiny in the house as well. Who else did I get? Beetle 911, thank you for that earlier. Jay Lambo, Faris, Isaiah, Austin Olston, Just Plex. We've got Denny Down, Bad Jeff McMahon, family member in the house. Good to see you. Nicola, Transferring Heat. Who else did I miss here? Alex Bryant, got you. Good to see you. And Shantoli, 89. I think Cody should win. I kind of do too, but we will get into that here in just a second. Let's talk about WrestleMania weekend. So I am leaving tomorrow for LA. You guys know that. And we have a hangout planned tomorrow night. If you guys are going to be at WrestleMania, if anybody here in the chat or if anybody here watching later is going to be in LA for WrestleMania, and tomorrow night, Friday night, the 31st, you're going to be around Crypto.com Arena during the time of SmackDown, then we're going to be doing a fan hangout right over at the Yard House, which is located in the LA Live Entertainment Complex, which is right next to adjacent to Crypto.com Arena. We'll be meeting there around 7 p.m., which is basically going to be right around the time the Hall of Fame starts. So SmackDown will run from 5 to 7, and then the Hall of Fame will pick up on Peacock after that. So we're going to be chilling over at the Yard House. I'll get there a little bit early, try to secure a bar space. There's a waiting list we can get. We kind of have to wing this thing because you can't really pre-reserve anything, but we'll get in there, get a little table. A group of us, looks like a pretty decent little group is forming right now, and it should be an awesome hangout tomorrow night. So if you're going to be in the LA area and you have time to stop by, even if you're doing something like Ring of Honor, there's probably time to stop by after that. So if you're into it and you want to stop by and meet, hang out, have a nice cold one, you are welcome to stop by. Everybody is welcome to say hello. No pressure whatsoever to drink alcohol or anything like that. You are more than welcome to stop by for a soda and a snack. No big deal at all. Would love to see you if you want to come out and actually meet. Otherwise, I will be at WrestleCon walking around Saturday and Sunday. So if you'd like to meet up there, you can. If you recognize me, please feel free to come up and say hello. I've had people say they've seen me at shows before and didn't want to bother me. Bother me. Go ahead, right? That's what we're all there to do, is to hang out and have a good time, meet each other, interact, and engage. And I am more than fine with anybody coming up to me and saying hello. If I recognize you as somebody that I've interacted with before, or from Twitter or from YouTube, I'm going to stroll up on you and say hello. So you might as well do the same thing to me. If you're there and you can't make the meetup on Friday and you see me, say hello. If you want to meet me at the show, no problem, but I'm probably going to be near my seat. So if you want to meet me, you're going to have to come to me. Just send me a DM. Twitter would be best if you want to come over and say hello. I don't know if they're going to let you down to my area. So just let me know that you're near my section. I'll walk up and go say hello. But I'll probably have to stay put and let you guys come to me if anybody wants to meet me at the show, because LA traffic, all that stuff can be a bitch too. We're going to be in downtown LA for WrestleCon, and then trying to get out of there back to Inglewood to get to SoFi could be a little hairy. So we're probably just going to get out of WrestleCon about 1 o'clock, make sure we got plenty of time to make that 16-mile drive over to SoFi Stadium and get in the building, because I don't want to be caught outside when the show starts or anything like that. We'd like to get in, get ready to rock and roll, because I have great seats. Let me brag about my seats now. Check these suckers out. So this is where I'm going to be. V245, 2 rows up there, pretty much 50-yard line, maybe 60-yard line, or 40-yard line, 60-yard line, 40-yard line, excuse me, seats there. And based on how the sets was setting up, when we saw some of the set designs being leaked on the socials, it looks pretty good. And I think my seats appear to be kind of right here, where this red circle is. This is where I think I'm going to be, which would put the stage to my right. So that ain't bad. I'm super happy with these seats. I think that's going to be good viewing. I didn't really enjoy my seats that much at SummerSlam in Allegiant Stadium a couple of years ago. Felt like I was too far away. Stadium shows are just too big, but for WrestleMania, need to make an exception. So that's where I'm going to be for WrestleMania. Looking forward to it. So if you want to swing over to V245 and say hello, feel free, hit me with a DM, and I'll do my best to see you while we are there. So other than that, like I said, you're probably going to get a couple of videos from me right here on YouTube that I might just record on my phone and post. You're also going to get some footage maybe on Bald Guy Wrestling of maybe some pyro displays or anything like that from a show. So check out those 2 channels as the weekend goes on, as well as all of my social medias for any updates I might be providing while I'm there. But the next time I'm sitting in this seat, in this room, live streaming with a microphone, will be Monday night after Monday Night Raw. So there you go. There's my WrestleMania upcoming weekend in a nutshell. I should shut up and get going on our wrestling news and predictions, since I got to go to work in about an hour and a half. So anywho, we are ready to rock here. Good to see audience ticking up in the chat there. Again, please, thumbs up, like button would really, really help. Helps the algorithm, helps everything on the channel. And we've been doing pretty good on views and subscribers lately, so I appreciate all of your support. And shout out to all the channel members for making all of this possible. Let's start out with some wrestling news. We're going to make this really quick because I've been busy at work getting ready for WrestleMania. I didn't get a chance to really sit here and read a ton of wrestling news today, so this is just a couple of tidbits. If there's anything major going on that I need to mention, let me know. We will, and we'll get into it. Otherwise, let's start with some very, very happy, wholesome, wonderful news. Timmy White, my favorite all-time WWE referee. I mark out every time he's on screen whenever we do a watch-along. I love, 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 love Timmy White, always have. He is going to be the first ever referee going into the WWE Hall of Fame. He's going to be receiving the Warrior Award, which is pretty cool. I mean, Tim White had lots of roles other than just a referee in the company. He was the handler of Andre the Giant, traveled with him, very close personal friend of Andre's. I have memories of Tim White since I was a little kid. Met Tim White before. I've seen him referee a lot of matches in person. He is a monumental part of the first 25 years of me being a wrestling fan. And it's great to see that he's going to be the first referee to go in, and he's really the right call. I think somebody actually asked me recently on a podcast who I think the first referee to go into the Hall of Fame was, and I wasn't really sure. I think we did mention Timmy White, also Earl Hebner, but I mentioned, I think, Joey Morella, just because, you know, he did referee the most famous match in wrestling history, Hogan and Andre. He was the son of Gorilla Monsoon, tragically died in 1994 when I think he was the senior referee, and then Earl went into that role. So I thought maybe Joey Morella perhaps, but Tim White going in is perfect. He was such a character, all the different things he did in WWE, from being a referee to an agent to, you know, traveling with Andre to being an on-screen personality and the friendly tap stuff and everything he did. His whole body of work in WWE was incredible. And he was a big part of WWE's early days, and I'm stoked for him. What I'm not so stoked about, though, is the rest of the Hall of Fame. I complained a little bit about this on Twitter. It's not even really a complaint. It's disappointment. Since WWF dropped the initials and moved to WWE in 2002, and then a couple of years later, they resurrected the Hall of Fame. And the Hall of Fame ceremony, I think, has been my favorite part of the post-WWF era, because after things changed at WWE, the whole product and the business has felt different to me. But one good thing about that change was the resurrection of the Hall of Fame and how big it got. 2004 was my favorite. The banquet setting, that massive inductee list of a group of guys and women too that they put in that year in 04, headlined by Bobby the Brain Heenan. That was so fun. And then it just got better than the next year and the year after that. And the ceremonies became big. They were fun. They were long. And I enjoyed all of that. You know, I mean, I think it was brutal for some of the wrestlers that had to be there in a suit and tie and stuff. They had to wrestle the next day, and these speeches are going on for 45 minutes. But for a fan sitting on his couch, what the fuck do I care? I think it's awesome. I loved seeing the speeches. I loved reliving the memories. I loved the fun, just the fun nature of it all. And it was my favorite night of the year. I looked so forward to the Hall of Fame every year. And then in 2019, everything changed. When they changed the setup, and it felt like the speeches got a little bit shorter. Brett, of course, got attacked that year. Then the next year it was the pandemic. And then the year after that was the Thunderdome Hall of Fame. And then last year it was kind of back to normal, and Taker's speech was very good. But the whole presentation it just feels empty. It feels dead. It feels like a rushed production. It feels like something that WWE is doing very lazily now. And it doesn't have the same feel, the same excitement, the same importance. It doesn't have any of those vibes and energy that it had before. And it's a big disappointment for me, which is a reason why I'm not going to SmackDown. I'm going to be hanging out next door, drinking some brewskis with you guys. I don't even want to go to the Hall of Fame because I don't give a shit. I mean, I'm very happy for the inductees, very proud of Stacy Keibler, Great Muta, Mysterio, Andy Kaufman, Timmy White, of course. None of my feelings towards the inductees change at all. This is not their fault at all. It's WWE's presentation of the Hall of Fame and how it's become a shell of itself. Just like NXT, just like the Andre the Giant Battle Royal, so many things that felt like they were on the right track that WWE, for some reason, self-destructs, or they kill, or inject poison into for whatever reason. And it's just kind of a bummer, you know, sticking out on the end of SmackDown like that, the Hall of Fame. Now, granted, things are different now. Back in the day, I think the Hall of Fame was on Saturday nights, I guess, right? So you didn't have a show attached to it. You know, SmackDown wasn't the same day. But now that WrestleMania is 2 nights, you kind of have to move the Hall of Fame somewhere. You could do it Thursday, but that's a little bit early in the week. So just sticking it on SmackDown is easier because you already have a venue booked and all of that. I almost wish they would do a whole revamp here on the Hall of Fame and go back to the way they did it in 2004. instead of trying to sell out an arena and worry about grabbing that money where the fans can just sabotage speeches with what chants and bullshit, put it back in the banquet hall. Big, nice dining hall, how they did some of the early Slammies, the one in 2004, the early Hall of Fames, the one in 2004, and the Slammies, which I really like the Slammies set up back in the day, the 80s, and the ones they did in 96 and 97, where they would just have the little banquet dinner and everybody be dressed up. That was so fun. So I would love it if the Hall of Fame went back to that one day, but I think that's wishful thinking. It's just a bummer for me as a fan who, some of these wrestlers are the only reason, that I still care about wrestling, was the history and the nostalgia and people that I grew up watching or liking or enjoying. And to see that just not being enshrined as well as it was before is just kind of a bummer. So I think tomorrow night at the Hall of Fame, there is an excellent chance that Dominic is going to do something to Rey Mysterio. Rey has already agreed to the match, but you definitely think that Dom is going to try something. He might be unsuccessful. I mentioned Dom attacking Rey or whatever. He might try to do something, and Conan might get his hands on Dom and pop him in the face or something. Who knows what they'll do, but I think they're going to run some sort of an angle with Rey and Dom at the Hall of Fame. So that might be interesting. Andy Kaufman will be very interesting to see go into the Hall of Fame as well. Last night, Elizabeth and I watched. Neither one of us have ever seen it before. So what better time to pop this sucker in than last night? We watched Man on the Moon, the Jim Carrey biopic on Andy Kaufman. It was really good. I can't believe I've never seen it before. And I was blown away about how excellent Jim Carrey played the role. Not just during Kaufman's stand-up routines, thank you very much and all that stuff. Just his normal speaking voice. He had so down. He sounded exactly like him. Elizabeth kept catching me looking away from the screen because I was trying to look away and envision Andy's face. And I'm like, it's him, man. It is him. So it took me 24 years since this movie came out in 1999 to finally see this, but we did. It was good. Jim Ross is in it. Mondo Guerrero is in it. A couple of other familiar faces. Danny DeVito, Courtney Love, great performances. So no better time to watch Man on the Moon than when Andy Kaufman's about to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. So that's all very interesting. I'm sure the Hall of Fame will be decent. It's just not going to be the way it used to be. That nice 4-hour show filled with speeches that might bore some people. Doesn't bore me. I love it. So it's a shame. I'm sad. Like I said earlier, Vince McMahon apparently is going to be present at WrestleMania. Not sure what he's doing. Probably just chilling in Gorilla, staying out of the way like they say he does. There have been some reports that some talent in WWE believes, based on the evidence they're seeing, that he is back and in some sort of has some sort of creative authority. That's just their suspicions. I'm not going to waste my time and get all bent out of shape for nothing. So Vince McMahon, the important thing we have to remember here is that we got him out. Even if it's only partially out or if it's mostly out, the fact that he is no longer in 100% creative control of that company is a good thing. He is still majority owner. He still can basically run that company as he sees fit for the most part, which means if he does want to have creative input, he certainly can. But I don't think, other than maybe some influences, if he really doesn't like something he's seeing on TV, I'm sure he's telling Triple H. I don't believe Nick Khan and Bruce Pritchard for a second when they're like, oh, Vince is cool. He's given us free reign. This is a man that was going out of his mind, tearing up scripts all the way up until the time he left. He's just going to shut that off, and he's going to be able to go home and watch something that he disapproves of, and he's just going to be cool with it. Does that sound like Vince? When this is a guy that's a complete fucking maniac any other day of the week? So it's hard to take them seriously, but at the same time, I personally don't believe, other than a few suggestions, Vince is really pulling any full strings here, because we still see a lot of good stuff that would not have the legs it does with Vince McMahon at the helm. Vince would have already screwed a lot of stuff up and not allowed it to breathe the way it has, especially with, the bloodline stuff. He might have had that ending way earlier, and who knows what else he would have ruined by being there. So I'm not freaking out. At the end of the day, what's important to remember here is Vince is not in 100% control creatively anymore. He can do whatever the fuck he wants behind the scenes, sell the company to goddamn Arby's. At this point, I don't care. But in terms of on camera, what we see in front of us, I'm happier with what we have now than what we had a year ago, because a year ago, Vince was still in charge. So if he's there and he's got a little bit of creative input, it's still better than what we had before. So it's really not worth the time to get yourself so angry that you're need to be institutionalized. Like, it's cool. Just chill, man. It's chill. We're still in a better place than where we were. Even if Vince has a little bit of input, it's better than having 100% of input. You know what I mean? So deep breaths. It's not hard. It's not hard to just chill, relax, man. Smoke some reefer, something. Just chill out. Dynamite last night. Didn't really get a look at it, but I saw a couple of the major things that went down. Adam Cole returned to the ring, defeating Daniel Garcia. Very nice moment with him and Britt Baker. The streamers came down, and the two of them were very heavily featured on the AEW All Access show as well. And it sounds like a lot of that is going to be chronicling Adam Cole's path back to the ring. In terms of how he looked last night against Garcia, looked great. Adam Cole is, I don't know if I'd put him as my favorite person, but when it comes to just favorite people in the business, he's right there with Kevin Owens. I mean, I love Cole. I love Owens. I like wrestlers like those guys. And to see Cole, who's such a obscenely nice guy, almost too nice to be believed. You hate to see somebody like him go through those issues and having to face possibilities like never being able to wrestle again when you have 2-3 concussions in a couple of weeks span, whatever it was that he went through, and how, he suffered and went through pain and doctor's visits and could not get cleared and couldn't get past all of this, and is finally back in the ring now. Hopefully everything remains A-okay with him and he doesn't have any future setbacks. If he does not, this guy is a world title contender. Now, after the match too, Jericho came out to help get Garcia out of there, and there was a little kind of look between him and Adam Cole. So we might be getting Adam Cole and Chris Jericho. That's fantastic, because Jericho will definitely do the job for Cole at some point. So if we're going to get that little match, that's great. Start Cole relatively slow. I would not be throwing him right into the world title mix yet. Get him some reps, get him some matches, make sure that he's good to go, got his flow back, has his confidence back, everything's moving, and everything goes well. This guy is somebody for sure that should be contending for a world title this year, provided everything goes well, and I hope it does, because Cole is the best. Bryan Danielson turned heel for the second time in AEW. He's been face heel, showing up and attacking Kenny, which was really well done. I really like that a lot. We've been wondering about the status of Danielson. It sounded like he was going to take some time off after the MJF loss, but he comes back here when the Bullet Club the Blackpool Combat Club are surrounding Kenny, who's by himself in the ring. The Bucks are dealing with injuries, that were sustained last week. One of them is actually legit. And Kenny is in the ring surrounded by Yuta, Claudio, Mox, and then out comes Danielson to kind of protect Kenny. And the whole time, I think the fans were wondering if Danielson was going to turn, but it was set up so nicely. He really played it off well, even helping Kenny up. He didn't turn his back on Kenny too many times, or vice versa, to let clue the fans in that there might be a turn or an attack. It was really well played off. He lifted Kenny up. Kenny kind of patted Danielson on the back and then ran to run Yuta off of the apron or whatever. And then Danielson crouches and he starts going down. And it was so great, because it was a great way to where the fans in the audience and the fans at home knew Danielson was going to turn. The only one who didn't was Kenny Omega. And that was such a brilliant setup and really, really well executed. I like that it wasn't a full-blown surprise. I like that the fans knew before Kenny did. And that was really well pulled off. Kenny ate the knees, and then the Blackpool Combat Club just fucked Kenny up. So we're going to be getting Elite and BCC here in some sort of big match, perhaps even blood and guts. Don Callis explained himself last week and said the whole thing was an accident, and even went to go apologize to Hangman Page for fall. I grabbed your arm and I fell by accident, whatever he said. But the Blackpool Combat Club showed up. Moxley nailed Callis and they beat him up. Or was that earlier? Anyway, there was some backstage thing where they nailed Callis. He got legit hurt. Apparently he got bloodied in that exchange. Hopefully he's okay there. And then they did the thing where he tried to apologize to Hangman and he talked to Kenny about it. Basically, all that went on Dynamite last night. And then on All Access, there was a lot of talk about Thunder Rosa, from Britt Baker, a lot of holy shit moments there, but a lot of it also highlighted Adam Cole and his recovery and his relationship with Britt and all of that from the little bit of it I saw. So that is extremely illiterate recap of Dynamite, since I didn't really see a ton of the show, only a few clips, read through the results, and figured I would just mention them. But did not watch the show all the way through because I did not have time. So it's WrestleMania weekend, and that's kind of been on all of our minds. So now we have to predict WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2. WWE announced who's going to be on which nights, which is kind of cool. I'm glad they did that before I came up and did predictions. And Danielson is the big show of AEW. Yeah, I did see that comparison mentioned a couple of times. All right, so WrestleMania predictions. Here we go. Let's start with Night 1. Like I said earlier today on social media, WWE released not a match order, but a match listing for Night 1 and Night 2. It was basically 2 graphics. Night 2 featured Roman and Cody. Night 1 featured Cena and Theory, which got a lot of people panicking. It's so funny how everybody panics. And they're like, oh my God, I thought Cena and Theory was the first match. They're making it seem like the main event. I'm like, it's just the 2 people they put on the graphic. Look who I've got here. I don't think I have any. I have one Night 1 person on this graphic here. One Night 2. I'm sorry. No, it's pretty divided. I'm sorry. I'm wrong. I was thinking everybody was here. It was on Night 2. They're not. But I think having Cena on your WrestleMania graphic is not bad. It's not a bad thing if that's what you want to promote out there. Plus, I also think WWE might be purposely keeping who the main event is a secret. Could be for a couple of different reasons. Like I said earlier, if it's going to be Charlotte and Rhea Ripley, then don't announce it. Don't give the fan. I thought they would announce it by now if it was going to be them, but they might not be announcing it. Just so the fans don't get themselves pissed off for no reason. Even though a lot of fans believe the tags belong in the main event, I do too. It certainly wouldn't ruin the weekend if it's not, because Undertaker and Shawn at WrestleMania 25 had a great match. That match was awesome, and it didn't need to be in the main event. It could have been, but it didn't need to be. And same thing with Rock and Hogan. A lot of people look back and think those matches should be main event in hindsight, but in terms of that night, it didn't make them any less exciting. My God, the crowd was so jacked and were taking on such incredible rides in those matches. It's fine if it's not the main event. So if the Usos and Owens are going to be maybe semi-main or mid-card, if I'm Triple H, I'm just throwing that at the fans. I'm like, oh, here you go, tag match time. Don't even give them the opportunity to fly off the rails. Sure, they'll be tweeting and mad or whatever for a few minutes, but 26 minutes later when that match ends and Owens and Zayn are celebrating and it's like a barn burner tag title match classic, you'll probably forget pretty quick that it wasn't the main event. You'll like the match, and then you'll say things like, it was a great match, but it should have been the main event. So then we'll just have to hear that shit. But by then, you won't have to worry about it because the match was great, the match is over, and it's a dead issue. Then the women can go in there and main event and possibly be in a tough spot having to follow Owens and Zayn and the Usos. And Triple H knows better than anyone what it's like to be in that position because he was in both of the main events of the 2 matches I mentioned earlier. Undertaker and Shawn, right? 25. Triple H was in the main event with Randy Orton, right? 18. Triple H was in the main event with Chris Jericho. Both of those matches are generally viewed as letdowns by fans because that they had to follow the excitement and the energy of those classics earlier on in the night. And that same thing could happen to Rhea Ripley and Charlotte if they go in there last right after the Usos, Owens and Zayn tore the house down. You might have to have a buffer in between there. But even if you do have that buffer, isn't going to be enough of a buffer to get the fans excited about Rhea and Charlotte when they just watched the match of a lifetime for the tag titles. It could harm them. So what my gut is telling me is that Triple H is probably just ribbing everybody. I'm going to let these whiny bitches panic and melt down for days and act like their entire WrestleMania weekend is ruined. If this match is in the main event, let them sweat it out, panic, yell at each other, shit on their hands and wipe it on their face all the way up until night 1, and then just give them match by match, never tell them what's going to be in the main event, and then each match goes on, and then when Charlotte and Rhea Ripley come out, that's going to make the fans very happy, and then it's going to dawn on them that maybe all that freaking out was for nothing and Triple H intended to put the tags in the main event the whole time. So I guess technically it could go either way. I'm leaning towards the tags being in the main event because last year, the women's title wasn't the main event. It was the Kevin Owens show in Austin and Kevin Owens fighting each other. That was the main event. So unless WWE wants to do the deal where they say the women's Royal Rumble winner main events, if that's what they want to start doing from now on, then unfortunately, for all the anger boys out there, you got to put Charlotte and Rhea in the main event. But it doesn't deserve it. Too bad. Doesn't matter if you think it deserves it or not. What you think doesn't matter. The rule is the winner of the Royal Rumble for the women, main events night 1. That's the rule. That's what they do. So shut up. But if that's not what they're doing and they're open to having whoever main event night one, then of course it has to be the tag title match. That story is too epic. And if you close with that and you have that great moment with Owens and Zayn beating the Usos and celebrating together, that's a great way to close out night one. But do you close out night one and night two with similar things happening? Okay, so think about that. Do you want Zayn and Owens beating the Usos in the main event of night one and Cody beating Roman in the main event of night two? That seems like a colossal collapse of the bloodline to me. Not that moving the tag match earlier in the night on night one would necessarily make it better, but at least it wouldn't make the two moments the lasting image, unless that's what WWE is going for, the big collapse of the bloodline. They lose the two titles on night one, or I'm sorry, they lose 4 titles on night one and lose the other 2 on night 2. That could be the way they want to do it. But if they want to have the shows end with different vibes, then you might want to end with Rhea and Charlotte. You know, you could even do a double turn with Rhea and Charlotte. I've heard a few people talk about a possible Judgment Day babyface turn, which is crazy, but I could maybe see that happening. But a double turn with Rhea and Charlotte would be really fun. And if they did a double turn with Rhea and Charlotte, I'd be perfectly fine with that match being in the main event. I'm cool with it. Wouldn't piss me off or anything. So I like the options that they have here, but you do have to remember, and it's hard to remember this, that Charlotte is a babyface. She is such a natural heel and just has so much heat with the audience and stuff. Although we watched the Charlotte A&E bio last night. It was very good. And I still have Charlotte's back, even though I don't want her to win here. She does not receive the hate from me that she receives from all the Anger Boys, because I can manage my emotions. But it is kind of heartbreaking to see, too, like what she goes through with her, you know, the clear insecurity that she has, because I've always thought Charlotte was just an unbelievably smoking hot, gorgeous woman. When she showed up in NXT and when she was younger and stuff, I always thought she was awesome, had no physical issues at all. But, you know, people have, you know, image issues, and the hate she gets from dipshits and evil fucking people that say the worst stuff to her, and it takes a toll on her mentally and all of that stuff. To see her and to listen to her chronicle that and grow through that was kind of heartbreaking to see, you know. So it did paint her in a little bit more of a babyface light, I will say that. However, even with all of that, I would be really shocked if she were to beat Rhea Ripley here after the run that Rhea Ripley had. So if they did some sort of big sort of title change here or swerve, that could be suitable for the main event. I'd be perfectly fine with that, especially if you didn't do a double turn and it was technically a heel winning in the main event of night one. That's another thing you have to think about. Now think about this, okay? So if it becomes clear during night one that Charlotte and Rhea is going to be in the main event, and Owens and Usos and Zayn, that happens. If Ripley wins, that's a pretty good indication, I would think, that Cody would win. You know, again, would they close WrestleMania night one with heel Rhea Ripley winning the title and close night two with heel Roman continuing his 9 bajillion day world title run? I think night one would not be a disappointment. A lot of fans, all the fans in the arena, myself included, are going to be very happy about that. But that still is a heel winning. So I don't know if that's what WWE would do. So if it turns out to be Rhea and Charlotte in the main event and Rhea wins, I think that might be a good indication Cody wins. But that's just reading super in between the lines. It's the way I've always looked at WrestleManias when I'm predicting them. I think about every single possibility and how one match placement or one match finish could affect what you see later in terms of when you're trying to pace out your shows with heels and baby faces winning and things like that. So all of those things I take into account, other than just looking at one match, who should win, and that's the end of it. Look where the match is, what's surrounding it, you know, what's happening before, what's happening after, what's happening the next night. If they win here, who wins this one, that kind of thing, and balancing it out that way. And I know it's, you know, you can break it down with graph charts and pie charts and all that kind of stuff, and Steiner math perhaps, but I think about all of those things when I take into account who's going to win a match. So I try to think about it a little bit more in depth than just black and white, and this is the way it has to be and has to be only. And we usually do pretty good in predictions. So let's see how we do here. Let's start with night one. Men's Showcase. 4 teams facing each other. I said on Alex's channel on Monday that I spent a good hour thinking about this, and I made a couple pie charts and graphs and crunched the numbers to really determine who would be the best team to win. And what I came up with is that I just don't give a shit. Do not care at all who wins this match to get people on the card match at WrestleMania, but I'm going to go with Ricochet and Braun Strowman because I like them as a team. I think it's funny and a great rib that after Strowman's dickish tweets and his criticisms of flippy wrestlers, they stick him with the flippiest motherfucker on the planet. I love, love, love that. And they make a good team and they're exciting. And it's one of my favorite things Strowman has ever done in that company. So I'm going to go with them. There could have some other stuff happen in that match. I mean, you could go Street Profits to really highlight Montez. I think he's on the cusp of a singles push here soon. Maybe you can do something to plant the seeds for that or lay groundwork here, whether it be in a win or maybe a loss, a miscommunication, something like that. Maybe the Maxine Dupree comes out and steals Otis away from Gable, knocking them out. And who wants to see the Viking Raiders win? So I'm going to go Rico and Strowman. Becky, Lita, and Trish versus Damage Control. Something is up here. I don't know what this is. I don't like this match. I have no interest in this match either, as much as I love, love, love Trish and Lita. Trish is my favorite women's wrestler of all time. Lita is also very awesome. I'm a big fan of Becky Lynch. Elizabeth loves Becky Lynch, and it was fun to see her with her kid on the 38 special that we watched last night. And I like Damage Control. Everybody in this match I like, but the match itself I don't. So that's weird. We've been hearing about a potential Becky and Trish program leading into SummerSlam. Trish got to work with Charlotte, so maybe Becky wants to work with her too. And she's like, I want to work with Trish. Maybe they're setting that up here. If they do, I'm giving Damage Control a much needed win. So many people have been talking about how terrible Damage Control is, referring to them as jobbers, in fact. Trish, Lita, and Becky are established, and then established again. They are Hall of Famers, multi-time champions, 3 of the best to ever do it in the women's division. It does nothing to them to lose here. It doesn't hurt them at all in any way. There's no tag titles on the line because this is a 6-woman match. Damage Control is desperate for a win. They could use this moment. If you did have Trish turn on Becky Lynch in this match, help Damage Control win. I don't know what that would do to the Lita Trish bestie dynamic or anything like that. Maybe Lita's stuck in the middle. I don't know how Lita would fit into this. But if the plan is to go with Becky and Trish like at SummerSlam, then I would have Damage Control get the win here. I hope they do. They need it. Io Sky and Dakota, they're great. We all love Bayley. And I would go, or are they setting up Trish and Bayley? I forgot. Bayley might be doing something as well. Bayley might be working with Lita. I don't know what Bayley's going to do this summer. And some fans feel like it might be time just to disband Damage Control. So one final loss here to those 3 might be enough to set Bayley over the edge. And maybe she just, demolishes the whole faction. But if not, and the plan is to still keep the 3 of those together, I'm going Damage Control. So I'm picking them to win that match. Seth Rollins versus Logan Paul, also on night 1. Based on the build of this and Logan Paul getting the best of Rollins in pretty much every segment in the build, I got to go Rollins. I think Seth Rollins should be a world champion this year, since it does seem like we might have 2 world champions in 2023. I think Rollins should win one of those titles within the next 12 months. I think Kevin Owens should also win one of those titles in the next 12 months. Rollins has done a lot in the last year. He hasn't won a WrestleMania match, I think, since he beat Brock at WrestleMania 35. He put over Cody, in that great trio of matches last year. He's been all business, and he's probably been the most entertaining and over the top that he's ever been. He's been doing some of his most entertaining work from a character standpoint on the show in terms of his obnoxiousness and the singing. There was a lot of times when he was WWE champion, the fans thought he was boring. He didn't connect. He was bland. He didn't have anything special to him in that respect. He was just a really good athlete and a really good worker. Now he's starting to incorporate, a really hilarious character. And I've enjoyed Rollins more in the last, I'd say, 2 years than I have, even when he was on top as champion. So that being said, I've got to go Rollins on this match. I think he needs to beat Logan Paul. I think he'll, this is Rollins' game. Paul has taken him out with a couple of punches, but I can't see WWE putting Paul over in this match after what he's done to Seth on TV. So Rollins has been awesome with all the jobs he's done in the last 12 months. He's getting a win here. He's going to beat Logan Paul, and I think the match is going to be good. Logan and Roman was a hell of a spectacle in Saudi, so I don't know if they're going to necessarily top that, but I think they're going to try. Rey Mysterio versus Dominic Mysterio. This is interesting. Now, Dominic has finally gotten Rey to agree to the match. We saw how that went down on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. And based on everything that we've seen on TV, I feel like it could go both ways here. This could be Rey wanting to put over his son. This could be giving Dominic a major, major win at WrestleMania against a man that went into the Hall of Fame the night before. If Rey Mysterio really wants to do whatever he can to give his son the biggest push as possible before he retires, then maybe you want to do the win here. But like I've said a couple of times when discussing all of these matches, when it comes to predicting them, you have to take into consideration that a lot of these matches, especially the ones that are happening for the first time, are probably going to be programs. Paul and Rollins will not be, I don't think. But Rey and Dom will probably have a series of matches. You don't tell the story you did with them for a one-off. It's just not what you do. So, I mean, it could be, unless that's the story Rey wants to tell of them having a big fight here, and at the end of the match, Dominic cries and hugs and reunites with his dad, and they just had to, they got out of their system and it's all good now. But I think there's way too much animosity for it just to be over after that. And I feel like there's going to be a series of matches here, probably 3. And one of those matches, at least, Dominic is going to win. So is he going to win here and then Rey is going to win the blow-offs? Or is Rey going to win here and maybe Dominic's going to win the blow-off or something like that? I'm a little torn on how that should go. I'm not really sure the proper way for it to go. I'm going to pick Rey Mysterio because I kind of think that's who I want in the storyline. Like if I'm trying to put out of my mind who should win or what's best for the future or whatever, just looking at the storyline, Rey needs to beat the fuck out of this kid after what this little shit did to him at Thanksgiving, at Christmas, at Valentine's Day, getting in his wife's face, being the most insufferable little goddamn prick imaginable. This boy has got to be taken to the woodshed. So I'm hoping that Rey slaps the hell out of Dom and dominates him, because I think he kind of will. Again, it's going to be interesting to see if Ripley is going to be out there for this, because if this match happens early, then, or is this match I have Rey and Dom on night 1. Is that right? Am I wrong on this? I suddenly started questioning my own shit here. I'm like, why did I think Rey and Dom was on night 2? Did I have this wrong? No, I don't. I'm right. Rey and Dom is night 1. Phew. I had it written down right. It just started to not sound right to me. Sorry. Carry on. So with Rey and Dom, I'm going to go Rey here, but then I feel like maybe Dominic could win a return match, at the next pay-per-view, because they'll definitely do something in Backlash. I would think that's going to be in Puerto Rico, right? So it just depends on where they want to do it. You think about Brett and Owen, Owen won at WrestleMania. So Dom winning here would be a lot like Owen beating Brett at WrestleMania 10. It would be very much the same thing, especially if they wanted to do a deal where Dom actually does catch Rey with a quick roll-up and beats him clean. It's quick and it's a fluke, but it's clean nonetheless. And that could be quite the shock. I would be perfectly fine with a finish like that. But I think based on how Dom has been, there needs to be, Owen was a little shit too, but he wasn't as bad as Dominic. He wasn't going to Stu and Helen's house and kicking Stu and kneecaps and stuff, So I think that Dominic deserves a little bit more of an ass kicking here. And I kind of hope that he gets it. And Rey Mysterio, after being tormented for months, probably even being tormented on the Hall of Fame. And that's another thing you have to look at. If Dominic does something fucked up to Rey at the Hall of Fame, he's definitely losing at WrestleMania. I couldn't even imagine Rey getting attacked by Dominic at the Hall of Fame and beaten down. And then he goes into the match with Dominic and loses too. So if Dominic tries some shit tomorrow night at the Hall of Fame, you can bet your ass that means Rey's winning. So I'm going with Rey. What do? Do we do the tag or do we do the women's match? Let's do the women's match. We're going to go Charlotte defending her SmackDown Women's Championship against Rhea Ripley. The only thing that makes me nervous here is that this match is for the SmackDown Women's title. Judgment Day is a Raw act. And with the A&E bio on Charlotte, you know, this new babyface role of hers, it almost seems like they're trying to get her a little bit of sympathy. Maybe this is just another match to add to the legacy of Charlotte, but I fucking hope not, man. I just can't see a universe where that booking makes any sense. Charlotte is such a well-established, decorated icon in the company in terms of the women's division. She is going to be there. She's going to be their Ric Flair. She's going to be their Cena. And she's going to be the one that basically all women are going to be compared to and aspire to be. She's like Cena in that sense that she has that value. And that's why there is no reason at this point to continue to have her beat people once they've been built up. You know, she can still win here or there. I mean, hell, she's beaten Ronda. She's won, 75 women's championships in WWE. But I said months ago that when Rhea started going on her run, this is way before Charlotte and Rhea was even on our radar for WrestleMania. I said, whenever Charlotte sees Rhea Ripley again, it's going to be a whole different game being played. And now we're here. Ripley has had the year she's had. She's been beating the shit out of dudes. She's been fearless. She's been kicking everybody's ass. And she won the Royal Rumble in spectacular fashion. She is an absolute badass. She has all the momentum. Charlotte is the well-established veteran with all of the value here. Just what a way to get Rhea over, because Rhea and Charlotte have had battles before, and that's why I keep pitching the SummerSlam 2014 idea with those two, because that would be such a statement. It would be an emphatic win for Ripley. It would be a joyous shock and delight to the fans where they'd be like, holy shit, they actually squashed Charlotte. I mean, if Rhea Ripley goes in there and just dominates her and puts her down, that can still lead to great storyline stuff with Charlotte. That can be Charlotte then questioning her own, place. Do I still have it? Have I lost a step? I've never been beaten in my life that handily. And she can use that as motivation to get her way back and climb her way back to the championship. Maybe she beats Rhea Ripley to win the Ric Flair tying title. I'd be fine with that by then, because now Ripley's already made, and then Ripley will be in the same spot Charlotte is. If Rhea can start being established and you start booking Rhea and Bianca as Randy Orton and John Cena of the women's division, Rhea is going to be in the same place Charlotte is to put people over in the future. This is how the cycle works. It's real easy to figure out. Triple H is an old school guy. He's not goddamn stupid, and I think he'll do it. So I'm picking Rhea Ripley to beat Charlotte clean. I don't want any help here. If she does, let me just say I'm not going to complain if Rhea Ripley cheats. She's a heel. If she's going to cheat, fine. Whatever she has to do to win the title, I'm fine with it, but I'm perfectly fine with her going in there like Brock Lesnar and suplexing, sitting Charlotte to hell and pinning her right there in the middle with ease after a riptide. So Ripley, all the way. New SmackDown Women's Champion. But like I said, that's a SmackDown title. That's the one part of it that makes me a little bit nervous that Charlotte could actually retain. And if she did, what the hell, man? So if Ripley wins the SmackDown title, that might be another indication that Triple H could be doing something with the championships, or just doing away with this brand split altogether. But there have been rumors of a draft. We don't know what's going to happen. Ripley winning the SmackDown Women's title does make me nervous. I'd feel a lot better if this was the Raw Women's title, but maybe the intent here is for Judgment Day to move to SmackDown. There's nothing wrong with that either, because a lot of what they've been doing on Raw will kind of be wrapped up. I mean, I think this is kind of the blow-off with Balor and Edge on night 2 in that Hell in the Cell, so they can kind of finish their issue. Rey Mysterio is already on SmackDown, so that might be what they're doing. All of Judgment Day might make their way to SmackDown, and Fox can enjoy the Judgment Day experience for a little while. So yeah, still going with Rhea Ripley. And that leaves us with the hopeful main event of night 1. Undisputed Tag Team Championships on the line. The Usos defending against Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn. There's no reason to break this one down. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn winning the titles here would be a wonderful moment. It would be a feel-good moment. It would be great for the two of them personally. It would end the Usos' dominant run as tag team champions, also playing into the story with Jey Uso and Sami Zayn and their history. And there's a million different ways you can do the finish here. Solo Sikoa could be a part of this. He'll get involved. But I think at the end of the day, Sami and Owens winning the titles here is going to get quite the reaction from the audience. And I'll be quite happy to witness this in person. So that's what I want to happen here. That's what I think will happen. If you did this match in the main event and you closed with that, that would just be incredible. It would be incredible for Zayn and Owens to have that moment. And it would leave you with an excellent cliffhanger, because depending on how that finish goes down, the lasting image of night one is going to be Owens and Zayn celebrating, with the Usos retreating, knowing they've lost their championships, knowing that their tribal chief has got the match of his life tomorrow night in the main event of night two. And now we are going to bring to him this bad news, this distraction that we just got beat. I'm sure he's been watching, but he's going to be angry about that, perhaps abusive, and that can carry into night two. So Owens and Zayn winning here. I can't see them going a swerve. Can you? I mean, could you see them doing an Usos victory, like Usos retaining the title? Maybe Kevin Owens turns on Sami Zayn. That would be bonkers if they did something like that, but I guess you can't really rule it out. But sometimes predictable is best, and I think this is one of those times. So Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, I'm predicting, will be your new undisputed tag team champions, and they're going to be carrying around 4 belts as well. I'm really hoping that Monday night after WrestleMania, we get some new championship belts. I really do. Especially with the world titles and those tag titles. You got to consolidate these. If you're going to ununify them or unify whatever's going on, just do it already, because there's too many belts. It's confusing. They're red, they're blue. Nobody can make heads or tails of it. And it's time to organize that situation, because it's a clusterfuck hot mess. So hopefully Triple H gets on that as soon as Mania is said and done. Let's move on to night two. 6 matches booked for this one. Let's start with the women's showcase. I broke this one down too, spent an hour thinking about it. Pie charts, graphs, Steiner math, broke down the numbers. I determined that I don't give a rat's ass who wins this match. But if I have to predict who wins, I'm going to go Shayna Baszler and Ronda Rousey. And that is if Ronda can work. I'm not even sure. There's still a little bit of question on her status physically. I don't know if she can even work this match, if they're waiting to see what happens, if Shane is going to go alone or Ronda's going to be replaced, or maybe she can just sit out on the apron and not do much. We might find out tomorrow night on SmackDown. They'll probably do something, but I think Shayna and Ronda is a pretty safe bet to win that women's showcase. Brock Lesnar and Omos. These guys had quite the weigh-in on Monday night, and it was pretty good. It was a stumbling, bumbling mess, of course, but it didn't look like they botched a whole lot here. Omos hit Brock and caught him with a pretty good big boot when Brock was trying to hit him with the scale, and then Omos chased Brock off with the scale. And these two guys are just set for a big-ass man collision match here at WrestleMania. As we've talked about with Brock, this one I feel like might be dependent on what Brock's future is. If Brock is done after this, and he's just going to say... And I don't truly think Brock is done forever. If Brock is leaving WWE after this, Brock will have another match at some point. Dude could go until he's 50 easily. But he might want to step away from the WWE contractually and wait until the sale goes through, and wait and see what happens with the sale, with Vince, what the company's going to look like. Brock has all the power to do that. He does not need to work if he doesn't want to. He's got all the money in the world. He can sit back and wait for the sale to happen, and then come back in when he's comfortable. Or maybe he feels like it's best to capitalize on the money he can get now by signing another agreement with them to do 5 matches a year for the next 3 years or whatever it is. And he can sign that agreement now while he can get the most for it, because he might not be able to get that deal after the sale. There's a lot of stuff to think about there. But let's say, for example, Brock is going to be bouncing out of here after WrestleMania and we're not going to see him again, although he always seems to turn up again around SummerSlam time. But if we don't see him for a few months or perhaps a year, and this is going to be the last we see of Brock for a while, you have to put over Omos. You have to. You have to. You can't not put over Omos. He's just got to be put over. But if Brock is going to be sticking around, then hell, maybe Omos beats him here and then Brock, they can do a return or something where Brock gets his win back. I'm really not sure about this one. I'm really not. I don't want to pick Omos. I think that would be a crazy sight for Omos to beat Brock Lesnar, but Brock, Brock has been human in the last few years. He's taken some losses. Seth got the better of him twice. WrestleMania and SummerSlam back to back. Roman Reigns did the same thing to him. He had that quick loss to Goldberg. And Drew McIntyre, of course, beat him as well. So he's not unbeatable anymore, but he's still a name like a Cena who can afford big losses and still carry just as much value. So if WWE's plan, because it's not about what we want necessarily, it's about what WWE's planning to do internally. So if their plan internally is to make Omos a big deal, whether we like it or not, if that's their plan, then you'd have to pick Omos if you know that to be their plan. We just don't know that for sure. So if it's their plan, then yeah. If it's their plan to make Omos a big deal and Brock is leaving, then Omos. But if everything's going to kind of remain the same, then I think we're just going to get the big moment there with Brock hitting Omos with an F5 and pinning him. And considering Bobby Lashley has beaten Omos at WrestleMania already, I feel like Brock and Omos should have happened in Raw Underground. Wasn't Omos the big bouncer or the big bodyguard there with Shane? And Brock could have gone in there and fought him in there. That would have been great. But now, a couple of years later, at WrestleMania, Omos isn't necessarily a new guy who they're trying to get over anymore. If they really wanted to do this with him, they would have done it when he was facing Lashley or, a year ago then. So let's just go Brock. Let's go Brock. I think Brock might just win here. Might just be a moment for the fans. Well, let's see here. How many heels we got? Omos. Shit, man. I don't know. I still feel like it can be Omos. I'm literally torn on this one. 50-50. Do I have a coin? I would literally flip right now, but I got no coins. Oh, you know what? I have a bottle cap. Okay. So if it lands on the inside of the cap, that's Omos. If it lands on the top, it's Brock. Flip it over. Brock. Just have to take my word for it. That was Brock. We're picking Brock Lesnar to beat Omos on night 2. Gunther. Let's do that one. Gunther defending the Intercontinental Championship against Sheamus and Drew McIntyre in a triple threat match. I've talked about this match a couple times this week. I was talking about the Honky Tonk Man's Intercontinental title record, which Gunther will break in September if they choose to keep him on that roll. But their plans might be bigger for Gunther. A lot of people have pointed that out to me. Well, fuck, Greg, what if they want to put the title on Gunther? What if they want to have him in a world title match at SummerSlam? He needs to drop the Intercontinental title. Okay, I guess so, but why? What's wrong with him getting that shot anyway? What's wrong with making a Warrior versus Hogan moment? I would love that, especially with somebody like Gunther with that title for so long. He's so dominant. That should be one of the reasons why he gets a championship match. Holy shit, we got a title contender over here that's held the title forever. I think AEW should consider doing the same thing with Jade Cargill and putting her up against Jamie Hayter. Think about that visual. Cargill, Hayter, title for title, all out. Hogan versus Warrior style at WrestleMania 6. Do the same thing with with Gunther. Do the same thing with Walter here. Keep the Intercontinental title on him. Make him unbeatable to where you have no choice but to give the guy a championship match. Is there a rule against Intercontinental champions competing in the Money in the Bank match? Why can't he win that too? What if Gunther just kills it? He just retains the title here, continues to retain the title, qualifies for the Money in the Bank, wins the Money in the Bank. Now he's got a title and a briefcase, and then he cashes in the Money in the Bank somewhere and then wins the world title too, and he just got everything. I'd be fine with that because I'm a big Gunther fan. So I don't think that in order for Gunther to move forward into a world title program, he necessarily needs to drop the Intercontinental title. I think it would actually be fun if you started doing some of these matches again here and there. And because I think that would increase the value of the IC title, giving the IC champion a title shot. So I would be perfectly fine with Gunther remaining on his role so he could, and that's just kind of that's the bonus. That's just like the silver lining. to doing that is he would beat the Honky Tonk Man's record. Some people think it doesn't matter if the Honky Tonk Man's record is broken. You might be right. It might not even be on WWE's radar. This might not even be something they're thinking about at all. They could give two shits about Honky's record. This is just Greg. So, but if WWE does ever want to, and somebody does bring it up, hey, in 4 months, we could beat Honky's record. Do you think about doing it? And I don't think you would sacrifice anything by doing that. Well, I don't want to have him break Honky's record, but then take a title shot away from him to do that. Why does it have to be that way? I think getting a title shot as IC champion would be fun. I think Gunther as IC champion versus Cody as world champion at SummerSlam or something would be awesome. I'd be cool with it. So we'll see. But there's also the other side of that coin. Our friend Sheamus, who we love, who's never won the Intercontinental title, who's been robbed of that opportunity for so many years. He's in a match here at WrestleMania, an opportunity to get it. Plus, if you do want to take the title off of Gunther while protecting him, triple threat matches are the way to do it. It's amazing to me that we'd rather pin a guy that's been WWE champion than the other in order to protect him, but it's the way it is. That's what a magnificent champion Gunther has been in, is that it's better for him if former WWE champion Drew McIntyre or former WWE champion Sheamus gets pinned in this match. So if you want to take the belt off Gunther, you got a perfect opportunity to do it here in a triple threat environment. Sheamus pinning McIntyre, which would be that would be two birds, one stone. It would give Sheamus the IC title, a match in the record books over Gunther, but also a win and a pinfall, probably a pinfall, not a submission, over McIntyre, who in every previous encounter has gotten the better of him. It would be a win-win for Sheamus, wins the IC, beats Drew, beats Gunther, everybody's protected. That's kind of a no-brainer way to book it in my mind. So, even though I want the Honky Tonk Man's record to break, I want it to be shattered into a million pieces, I'm going Sheamus to win the Intercontinental title on night 2. I'm worried I got too many good feel-good moments here. But we're going to move on to Edge taking on the Demon, Finn Balor, and guess what? The gray Hell in the Cell. It's back to its original color, unless that's photoshopped nonsense that's been floating around Twitter. There's been a lot of pictures of the production and the construction of the WrestleMania set, and we've seen the cell down there, and it looks like it is back to his original color. It was rumored that it wouldn't be red anymore. We hate the red. We hate the Mattel toy. And I'm just thrilled to pieces that this thing is back and it's to its original form. And hopefully it doesn't look too obnoxious and doesn't look too much like a toy, but I'm glad that that red cell is gone. Triple H, you're the man. Bring back that blue bar cage just for fun. So I'm going to get to see my second WrestleMania Hell in the Cell match. I was at WrestleMania 15 24 years ago in 1999 in Philly, where it was The Undertaker and the Big Boss Man, and they hung him from that, and that match was terrible. So I think it's safe to say that this one is going to be a lot better. Now, I have a question. I have a question about SoFi Stadium. I've never been there before. This is going to be my first time in the building. But from the pictures I've seen, it looks like it's a transparent glass ceiling. Can these panels be covered? Does anybody know? Can you darken that? Do they darken it for concerts or anything like that? Because this show is going to start at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. The Hell in the Cell match needs to be as late in the card as possible. Otherwise, you're going to risk a daylight entrance for the Demon and Edge for that matter. And that, that really affected Sting's entrance. It made it suck at WrestleMania 31. I don't think it really helped Bray Wyatt's entrance at that WrestleMania either, because that was also in California and it was outdoors. WrestleMania 26 in Phoenix all those years ago was also pretty bright, because that was a kind of a bright roof for kind of that white dome looking stuff, which makes the arena very bright. So I'm worried that it might just be mostly a daytime show unless there's a way to kind of darken it up. But, if it's a 4-hour show, then you'll get into, 7 o'clock range. You could have that match on, and the sun will be setting, so it won't be so bright. But I really don't want to have a completely daylight Demon entrance. I think that would suck. But It's going to be cool to see it. Nonetheless, I'm excited for it. This is one of the matches I'm the most excited for, getting to see another Hell in the Cell match. This will be my second ever, but I've also seen the Kennel from Hell match. So every time I've been in the arena with a Hell in the Cell present, the match has sucked. Kennel from Hell was the worst damn thing we've ever seen, and Bossman and Undertaker certainly weren't creating any memories in that stinker either. So this one has to be better than both of those, and I'm really, really stoked for it. And at the end of the day, I think you put over Balor. It's not much of a question in my mind. I think you get the most for your money and for your investment in a win like that for Balor, who still has years left to do stuff. He's going to be the Demon again, so you're really going to bring back the Demon just for him to lose again? Didn't that happen to him once already with Roman? Stop doing that. Plus, Edge, if he's to be believed and he still does want to maybe retire this year, unless he's had a complete change of heart and he wants to keep going a few more years. But if he wants to call it a day and call it a career this summer, then he should be putting people over. Edge is old school, man. He's got no issue doing this at all. He probably insists on it, actually. And we do know and remember that when Edge came back, he kind of had a short list of dudes he would really like to work with. And we know Balor was one of them. So he's been able to work this long program. They've had a great little story here between the two of them. Normally, in these circumstances, you would think that the babyface would get his due in the end after being booted out of Judgment Day, and he'd get the final say here in the blow off, which it might be, unless they do one more after this. But Edge and Beth Phoenix got that win last month. They got their little moment. They won with that Shatter Machine, great finish, awesome moment. And as soon as I saw that, I'm like, that was when I said that night in my Elimination Chamber review, I said, Balor is probably going to win their blow off now at WrestleMania. And my feelings haven't changed. They're bringing back the Demon. That's all the more reason in my mind to put Balor over here, have him beat Edge, and move on to perhaps go to SmackDown as the Demon with the rest of the Judgment Day. Maybe these guys turn babyface in the process. It's going to be hard to do that with Dominic, but maybe that's something that happens in the future. I don't know. But Balor, I believe, has to beat Edge and should beat Edge at the Hell in the Cell. But I'm looking forward to a happy match here, a good match, and one that's going to be exciting, a happy match. I'm not sure if it's going to be that happy. I don't think we're going to see any blood or anything like that. I don't know if either one of these guys are going to really do any crazy spots, because Balor, I'm sure, is capable of doing something, but I don't know if either one of these guys needs to take any sort of spectacular bump that could be risky or dangerous. I just hope the match is good and fun. And I think it will be. Bianca Belair defending her Raw Women's Championship against Asuka. This match has no heat at all. Like none. I mean, a little. Asuka's busted out the mist a couple times. I love Asuka's new look. I like her new attitude. I like her new music. I love Asuka. She's my favorite. But I just don't know. I feel like you're in a really good opportunity here just to keep Bianca rolling as well, establishing her dominance now, holding this title for a year, winning it a couple of times, now defending it successfully at WrestleMania, really establishing what a megastar she is, and maybe do the title change after. Like I said, with a lot of these matches, I don't think any of them, a lot of these I don't think are one-offs. With Bianca and Asuka, I think you're probably going to have a return here. So I would have Bianca win, and then Asuka somehow gets a return match and maybe wins the title after. That way you can have the focus on Rhea Ripley as being your new women's champion, and you're not dealing with two women's champions at the same time. But somebody also pointed out that Asuka has like never won a match or something at WrestleMania. So that's kind of messed up too. It just feels like if you were going to do a title change here, somebody who's held the title as long as Bianca has, I usually envision those title losses being a little bit more dramatic, or a little bit more front and center, That's another thing here. Match placement. This match is not going to be in the main event. It's not going to be in the middle of the card. In my personal opinion, whenever Bianca drops the women's title, it should either be in the main event of a show, or it should be in a match with a lot more focus. This, like I said, this just issue hasn't been that memorable. And I would like Bianca, when she does lose that title finally after holding it this long, I would like for that to be, I don't know, just a moment that's just has a little bit more building to it. I don't know how to describe it. Just not here in a match. They're just going to say, here, Bianca and Asuka now, and just doing a title change would be shocking, but I feel like you could capitalize on it better and you could put it in a better spot and have that moment when Bianca drops the title. I don't want to say WrestleMania isn't memorable. It just feels like night two, this match has been talked about a lot less than all the other matches. And I don't want to feel like Bianca's title loss is an afterthought, especially if Rhea Ripley wins on night one and everybody's talking about that. Sammy and Owens win on night one. Everybody's talking about that. And Cody beats Roman in the main event. Everybody's talking about that. Who's even going to be talking about Asuka at that point, you know? So I look at it like that, which is why I feel like it's better for Bianca to win here. And then if they still want to do the title change, do it. Maybe just do it at the next pay-per-view or something like that. But I'm going to go Bianca Belair to retain. And I fully admit I might be wrong on that one, but that's who I'm going with. And that leaves us with the Code Stir against the Tribal Chief, Cody Rhodes, challenging Roman Reigns for the undisputed Universal Championship. So both belts on the line here. Roman Reigns has held these titles forever. He is on the path to 1,000 days, which a lot of fans feel like could be a reason for WWE to keep the titles on him. But milestones are great. And like that's what I was talking about with Honky Tonk Man. Milestones are great, but they're usually better when they're like a bonus. Don't make it your focal point. Don't sacrifice people for it. And with Cody and the story that's being told with him, he's very over right now. I think he's probably about as over as a babyface he's going to be. Knowing the wrestling audience how we do and their tendencies and how they tend to be, they are going to grow tired of Cody. I just feel like they will. They'll make themselves grow tired of him. Even if he's doing great work, they're going to make themselves pissed off. They just do it. It's what they do. So I feel like Cody is never going to get a better reaction from the audience. It's never going to be more of a feel-good moment. You're never going to have the bloodline in position for a fall better than where you have them now, which could set up the ultimate swerve. You know, if they wanted to put Roman over here, I could see them doing that. They've done this before with Cena. They've done it with Brock, and they've done it with the man who's pulling the strings right now, Triple H. There have been times when they were ripe, and they've won. So that could totally happen here. I'm not ruling that out. But like I said earlier, I feel like WWE wants to create some moments here. I feel like setting the company up in a position for a sale. They want to showcase their potential buyers one hell of a show here. I think this would almost kind of usher in sort of a new era, a brand new champion, championship belts being back on TV regularly for the first time in over a year for the WWE title, and even longer than that for the Universal title, changing things up a bit, breath of fresh air, a little bit of a facelift, new champion, new opponents, and like I said earlier, potentially new championship belts. There have been a lot of rumors about Triple H's desire to change the belts and even approving some new championship belts. None of that's going to be proven until belts are out on TV, but you could see those as early as Monday, because way back 25 years ago, after WrestleMania 14, they debuted a bunch of belts. So they've done it before. They could do it again after in 2002 at WrestleMania 18. Right after that, Triple H got that undisputed belt, right? So it's the perfect time to do it. You got all those tag belts. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn are going to be drowning in championship belts. So it would be great to consolidate those, either split them up or unify them for good and have one tag team champion that floats both shows. I'd be in favor of that. And if they're going to clean all of that up after WrestleMania, having Cody win here in the main event just feels like the story they want to tell. WWE loves the American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, as do I. It would be special for me, have special meaning for me, since Dusty Rhodes is my first ever flashbulb memory of wrestling that I've ever had was him. So to see his son win the title is cool. And I'd be perfectly in favor of it because I like Cody and I also like Roman. And Roman's been great, but we are at the point here, and you as fans have asked yourself this question before with John Cena and other super dominant champions, Charlotte and others, that who's next? You know, if Roman does retain here, who is a real challenger for him on the roster right now? He's worked with everybody else, worked with Zayn and Owens and Rollins and McIntyre. He's worked with everyone that is a suitable world title contender. So aside from bringing somebody new in, who would he really work with? and Cody, it keeps Cody's winning streak going. His loss should be coming, at a pretty monumental moment as well, like a WrestleMania main event. So if you want to make the case that Cody's first loss couldn't come on a better stage, you've got a point. But I still think at the end of the day, it's where it feels like WWE's going. I mean, I know it's a crazy thing, but I mentioned the WWE 24 doc. Next year's doc is going to be all about Cody. It's going to be all about him. I don't think that camera crew is going to follow him along around all his WrestleMania journeys and chronicle his story back to the WWE, culminating with that match with Roman Reigns in the main event, just for him to lose and the camera crew to watch him come back through Gorilla sulking in his failed attempt at the title. I just can't see it ending that way. I think it's about Cody. I think he's going to be a new champion for them. And who knows what that even means, because we could see the titles ununified after that in a lot of different ways. And I've mentioned before that if Cody wins the title, I could see a celebration ceremony taking place on Monday for him, where Triple H comes out and maybe presents him with the new championship, which also lets him know that this is just the WWE championship. We're going to strip you of the Universal, because they do have reason to do that with Cody. They could say, we want you to have this because this is the title you wanted to win. This is the championship your dad didn't win. This is the trophy you've always wanted. And we present you with this brand new WWE title, which would be awesome if it would be the Winged Eagle, my God, or whatever they do, a new championship to Cody. But also, we believe that the fans deserve to have champions on two shows again. And Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns unifying the belts. We need this title to be back on SmackDown. So Cody, as a gift, this is the new WWE title. Maybe it's custom Cody plated out and all that stuff. And then, because there's that one floating around social media. And then maybe informs Cody that he's going to take the Universal, and we're now going to hold a tournament for it that's going to culminate in Puerto Rico at Backlash or whatever. Maybe Cody's cool with that, or maybe the belt is the prize at the end of the King of the Ring tournament in Saudi Arabia. Maybe they do that. Something like that could happen. So I feel like Cody winning, that could usher in kind of a new era, new championship belts, new look, new champion, figuring out your championships, what you're going to do, giving your shows an identity, whether there's going to be a brand split or not. Just, I think WrestleMania can kind of signify the beginning of all of that. So I just kind of really want to see that. I'm ready for something fresh. And this is coming from the podcaster that usually always preaches patience. And I usually am okay with long title runs. I really would be okay with a Roman long title run, provided he just doesn't run into some guy that I really want to see beat him. And now he has. He's got Cody. Because up until now, I'm fine with him beating everybody else. But this Cody shit has been cool. Seeing him jump from AEW to WWE, WWE giving a big FU to AEW. Let us show you how to push this guy. We'll show you how to do it. All of that is just so perfect for WWE. And I'm a big AEW fan. I'm not knocking them at all. But there's so many positives to doing that. And WWE loves Dusty Rhodes and his history. I think WWE would love to have Cody Rhodes in their title lineage just because of the history it now creates. And it's going to solidify the Rhodes family as a really, really big part of WWE, which is good because some of the other, famous families and famous world champions like the Flairs and the Hogans have disgraced themselves. But we still have Dusty, and we have Dusty's son. And if he wins the title, I think that would be a great moment. And I think maybe Roman is probably being rooted for more by the younger audience, perhaps, because I would just think that anybody my age that grew up watching Dusty Rhodes, I can't see how you would root against Cody in the situation. I just can't. If you were a fan of Dusty anyway, if you hated him, then sure. But not many people did back then. So I just don't know how you root against him, because he's, like I said, he's not gotten to the point where he's worn out his welcome or his shit's getting stale or, he's just being too lame for his own good. None of that has happened with Cody yet. Fans are loving him. They're woeing in his theme song now, which they've always done, but it's a lot louder now. And he's over like Rover. You know what you do with guys who are over like Rover? You belt them up. And that's what I'm doing at WrestleMania with Cody. Cody wins the Universal Championship. So there you go. I'm done. I might be done podcasting and my YouTube job is over for 4 days while I go to Los Angeles and go to WrestleMania. I'm stoked. What did you guys think of those predictions? Agree? Disagree? Which ones do you disagree with? Which ones are you saying to yourself, Greg, you're an idiot? Here's what's going to happen. Let me know. Hey, next T85 restored. A called up Braun Breaker. Yeah, but I don't want him to challenge Roman. I'd rather have Cody win than Braun Breaker. They named him Braun Breaker. But Greg, he came up with it. Well, fine. He named himself Braun Breaker. It doesn't make it any better. It makes it just as dumb. So Braun Breaker would be an excellent night after WrestleMania call-up. Who do you think is going to show up the night after WrestleMania? Night after WrestleMania Raws are not what they used to be. I'm not expecting anything spectacular. But if you were going to bring in a Braun Breaker or Carmelo Hayes, I think the loser of that, is that what we agree on? Like maybe the loser of Breaker and Hayes at TakeOver shows up on Monday. I'd be fine with that. I'd love to see Jay White come in, although Jay White could be setting up an AEW return. We don't know where he's going to go yet. So we will see. Rarely even, I will get to the super chats. You just chill out. Who's in charge here? Rarely even or good mic work? Which one? Yeah, good mic work. That's what I thought. Cora Jade call up. Maybe. Yeah, so and to Deliver and Honor are both on the... No, NXT Stand and Deliver is Saturday afternoon. That's right. I'm not going to have an eye on that at all. I will have no idea what's going on Saturday for NXT. There is so much wrestling going on. My God. I'm not doing everything. We're just doing the hangout tomorrow night. Then I'm going to do WrestleCon Saturday. Then we're going to the show. And I don't know if we're going to do a whole lot after the show. We might want to get back to the hotel and chill out because we got to get up and do WrestleCon again the next morning. So, but there's NXT, there's Ring of Honors, there's all sorts of indie shows. Jack Farmer invited me to the one that he's calling tonight. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to go because I'm still here. But there's just something going on. There's live podcasts, live shows. There's a million things going on in LA right now, and I'm ready to get up there tomorrow morning. Bobby Lashley for King of the Ring and new Big Gold Champion. Max, thank you for reminding me about Bobby Lashley. One thing I didn't mention is Bobby Lashley. We have the Andre the Giant Battle Royal on SmackDown tomorrow. Bobby Lashley is a part of that. So is LA Knight. Neither of these guys are booked for the show. However, as I said earlier on in the week, I fully expect Bobby Lashley to have a presence on WrestleMania. I've always believed that, even after the Bray Wyatt match seems to have been dropped now. Bobby Lashley has even said himself they're trying to figure out something for him to do, and he doesn't even know if he's going to face Bray Wyatt yet. So I suppose it's still possible that Lashley and Wyatt actually happens, that they actually give this match to us as a surprise. Otherwise, I think Lashley is going to have something to do. I think he will have a match, an impromptu match, or a segment in the ring, or a segment backstage, or a big promo, or something. Hopefully it's nothing lame, nothing too quick, where he's just interacting with a legend and that's it. Hopefully it's a little bit more than that. And if he came to the ring and challenged somebody, that would be really fun too. And how great would it be if Randy Orton came out and accepted the challenge? But I don't even know what Randy's status is. Nick Khan did say in an interview today, I think that to expect some surprises at WrestleMania. They have big things planned. We could see The Rock show up. I doubt it, but perhaps he could come in at the end of Cody and Roman and cause some sort of shenanigans there. I didn't even mention the finish of that match. I do think the Usos, specifically Jey Uso, could play a role there, and the finish could be Roman instructing Jey to do something, Jey not doing it, and then Cody catching Roman with some crossroads for the win. So that could definitely happen. Or you could have something major take place. And how good would WWE look to potential buyers if you have The Rock showing up in the main event, surprising the entire world, and you get the moment of a lifetime with the roof blowing off SoFi there when nobody expected it. So you could see that. You could see Stone Cold Steve Austin have a presence on the show. I think it would be really cool if LA Knight came out to the ring and called out Austin, and you had a what and yeah off. What? Yeah. What? Yeah. That would be so fun. Just fun. Remember when they used to do that? We used to get these fun kind of segments in the ring, Ronda beating up Stephanie and shit like that. So doing something like that, I think, would be fun on one of these nights. And I hope they have reserved time to do that. So I think LA Knight could be involved in something. I promise you Bobby Lashley will be involved in something. I don't think WWE would do him like that. Like, it wasn't his fault what went on with Bray Wyatt. And Bray's got issues, whether they be health issues, creative issues, whatever it is, and it caused this match to not happen. You should not punish Bobby Lashley for that. And I'm usually not in favor of like shoehorning people in, but a guy like Lashley, you shoehorn, baby. Find a spot for him. And I believe they will. So I think we'll see the presence, at least of Lashley, hopefully of Lashley and Los Angeles Knight. Now I will finally do what Rarely even demanded I do earlier, and I'll go up and answer these super chats, and then I got to get out of here. Let's go all the way back to, who's the first one? Spaz is here. Spaz Phoenix, shout out, bro. Thank you so much. Appreciate the 550. Totally random, but what's in the retro blockbuster case behind you? I'm so glad you asked that. My predictions are going up tomorrow morning for anyone interested. Cheers, chat. I'm so glad you asked that because I wanted to get a blockbuster tape case just for my display. So I went on eBay and was searching for them. And the only one that looked any good was Diabolique 1996, Sharon Stone. I've never seen it, but there it is. I know nothing about it. Even back in the day, they would give you a breakdown of the movie on the back. Kathy Bates is in this. The wife and the mistress of an exclusive boarding school director conspire to murder him with bizarre consequences. Remake of the 1955 French classic. Huh. Anyway, Sharon Stone's in it, and it was the only one available. So I said, I guess Diabolique it is. So that's funny you asked that, because I was like, what a weird movie to pick, but it's the one. I think is that the only super chat I had? Rarely Even's freaking all out. Oh, there we go. One from you, bro. Appreciate the $5. You forgot Cena. I forgot Cena in theory. Thank you, Juliet. Appreciate the $2 from you. I forgot Cena in theory. All right. Let's get it. We're going to backtrack. Let's go back. Let's first, though, answer Rarely Even. $5 more. Now I see why you wanted me to answer these. What if Randy Orton returns and costs Cody the match? Imagine the nuclear heat that would give Randy. That would, but man, what a random sharp right turn away from the current story that you're doing with this collective takedown of the bloodline. Now you're inserting Randy Orton, brand new opponent for Cody. I think Randy and Cody are natural opponents. If Randy's able to come back, you have to do that, and it has to be for the title. But Randy coming out in the main event, I don't see it. I feel like Randy Orton would be more of a night after WrestleMania return. Like if Roman's going to take time off and he's more consumed and concerned with Jay, and his mind is on revenge on Jay for costing him the title or whatever, and Cody's going to need an opponent, and he's in the ring celebrating on Monday, I could see Orton slithering in and nailing him with an RKO, setting up the match between Cody and Randy Orton, sure. But I feel like you could also wait on that one, and you'd have plenty of story to tell there on its own with the two of them, without having to do it right away and do any hot shotting, you know? Let's see. You've got 5 more. Thanks, dude. This will be the first post-Mania Raw SmackDown under Triple H. Some NXT call-ups are inevitable. You're calling Cora Jade and Zoe Stark. I love Zoe Stark. Cora Jade I'm okay with. I don't like some of her shit talking. But other than that, she's got a decent enough look, and Zoe Stark is just a freak of nature and a badass, and I like her a lot. So I'm cool with that. And also, if they call up Carmella Hayes or Braun Breaker, I think it's time for at least one of them. Let's see, where else did I leave off? All right, we're almost there. There we go. Okay, now we can backtrack all the way and talk about John Cena and Austin Theory, which I somehow forgot when I was talking about night 1. Yeah, I got all the way to the end, and I did not talk about poor Austin and Cena. My God, how badly did Theory's promo on Raw freak you out? It gave me like flashbacks of the pandemic, just speaking to a dead audience. I don't ever want to have that feeling again. It was so awful when that happened in 2020, and it gave me memories, bad ones. So anyway, Theory and Cena is opening night 1. That's still the case. Today, when everybody was thinking that it might main event, it's not. It has been confirmed as the curtain jerker here for night 1. And like I said last week, or when this announcement was made, it feels like to me that the reason it's made is because Cena's got shit to do. So when this match is over, he's going to be right to the back on the plane and in the plane before match 2 is even out of the ring. That's the way it feels like to me, unless I'm completely misreading this. Now, how are you going to do a Cena victory here if he wins? It's for the title. So if he wins the championship, that means he's now U.S. champion, which means that title is either going to be off TV for a while, or Cena's going to come back on night 2 and do an open challenge and lose to Jay White or something like that. But Cena doing that would be weird because that would do nothing for Austin Theory and it would do nothing for him. It would make more sense perhaps if Austin Theory retained and then did an open challenge on night 2 because he's on top of the world with as much confidence as he's ever had. And then you bring somebody in and beat him for the title. That could work, but I don't necessarily think either one of these guys needs to work double duty. This can just be a match. But the fact that this is so early does make you think that Theory could have something to do the next night. Now, last year, that Austin featured on both nights, so they could do that with John Cena if he was going to make a night 2 appearance. But it feels like to me, Cena's come in there to do his job, and then he's got to get back to whatever movie he's currently filming right now. But if I'm wrong about that, then you could pretty much do anything here. But I feel like WWE wants to make Austin Theory. The fans can debate whether or not they think Austin Theory is ready for the big time or ready to be pushed or not. You can have that debate all day. What matters is if WWE thinks that or not. So if they are already have made the decision and they're a go with pushing Theory and making him a big deal within the next couple of years, then Theory goes over here. He beats John Cena. I just don't see any other way to do it. You can do something shady. You could do a sketchy ass finish and have Theory cheat to win, which could upset John Cena, but it's not going to be able to upset him enough to cancel his movie to continue his program with Theory. So it would have to be, just a heel move, hook of the tights, and John Cena just gives him a wink and like, all right, you got me, kid, or whatever. I don't really know how you book that. But the match placement of this is interesting. Night 1 opener is interesting, and hopefully this isn't a letdown. Hopefully it's not what I'm thinking it is. Hopefully it's not Cena just getting his match out of the way as early as possible so he can get out of there. I hope that's not the reason it's opening, because I feel like it would be somewhat boring that way. Usually you want to open up WrestleMania with a hot match. A lot of times a babyface will win in these situations. John Cena himself was in this very situation at WrestleMania 20 against the Big Show, and he won, and it was a great moment. So Cena winning the U.S. title would be a surprise. It would, and it certainly would pop the crowd. It would probably be the best and loudest ovation John Cena has gotten since that night in Madison Square Garden, because the fans have been against him and up his ass ever since. And now that everything has run its course, Cena is a cancer, and this wrestling business that Cena was supposedly going to kill. Remember, 10 years ago, Cena's killing the wrestling business. Does it look dead to you? Looks kind of stronger than it did 10 years ago. It looks stronger than when Cena started or when Cena was on top, in 2012, 13, 14. It feels, we got another promotion now. So this business was supposed to die under John Cena as champion, and if anything, it has thrived. And now that he's largely out of the spotlight and he's not in the fans' face so much, being pushed so directly down their throats, he's tolerable, just like I said he always will be, or would be, all those years when fans hated him. I'm like, there'll become a time where you won't feel that way. And now we've gotten there. Cena is barely around. He's now going in the ring with a prick heel that nobody seems to like. If he beats him here, that's going to be an amazing crowd pop in LA. I can see it, but it doesn't feel like that's what they're setting up. It feels like they're making Theory here. And that's what I would do. I mean, shit, if you're going to have Gunther drop the title on night 2, I think I'd have Theory retain here over John Cena. I don't know how they're going to do it, how they're going to book it. It would shock me if it was a completely clean win, but if it was, what a feather in the cap for Theory, and what a way to launch him into his future. So I'm going Theory. Don't know how it's going to happen, but I'm going Austin Theory. Sorry for forgetting that when we were talking about night one. So there you have it. That's my WrestleMania predictions in a nutshell. I think I've broke it down about as best I can. I can't think of too much more to discuss here, although in terms of my predictions, I'm a little shaky on a few of them. I'm not sold on some of them, but it'll be interesting to see when it's over how many I got right. So looking forward to it. Cena should squash Theory. I like it. It would be quite the sight to behold. Oh my God. But I don't know if that's the best use. Hooks the jorts. Sorry, rarely even. That is true. He doesn't wear tights. Cameron Grimes call up would be fine. He's overdue. He's super entertaining. I'd be perfectly fine with that. Cameron Grimes maybe at Mania. I can see that. Yeah, McDestiny, Randy Orton versus Cody. I think you could do that at any time. You could do it at Backlash. You could do it at SummerSlam. You could do it at whatever the hell they do in July. Money in the Bank is going to be in London. That would be a great opportunity to do that as well. I don't know what they'll do in the main event of Money in the Bank. I'm not sure. But that could be a potential match anywhere, especially if Randy Orton is able to come back. I think as soon as he's able to come back, then you do it ASAP. But you also have to think about Riddle. If they're ever going to bring Riddle back, he might also come back the night after WrestleMania. They're probably not going to reward Riddle with a WrestleMania payday or a segment or anything like that after what he put them through. So they're going to probably bring him back at some point, but they're going to make him wait out WrestleMania. So if he comes back first, if Randy Orton comes back, the first thing Randy Orton's going to have to do is deal with that situation, whether RK Bro is going to reunite and stay together, or if you're going to split them and do a feud. But by now, it's been so long, you got to rekindle that fire and that relationship between the two of them, which means they probably have to be together on TV for a little while before you do the split to get the fans to remember how much Riddle loved Orton and all of that. So you got to think about that as well, unless Orton comes back and him and Riddle are on separate shows and they wait to bring them back together. Who knows? You could do it a million different ways, but Cody and Randy is a match I hope we get. I really do. And it'll be an incredible passing of the torch type of thing with their history and the legacy and all of that. Be a great match to see. So I'm looking forward to it. Anyway, I got to get out of here, guys. Thank you so much for hanging out and listening to me ramble for nearly 2 hours about WrestleMania. I'm looking forward to being there, man. It's going to be fun leaving in the morning. So like I said, if you're going to the show, hopefully you can join our meetup on Friday night. Otherwise, if you see me, say what's up, say hello. I think we're going to have a great time in LA, and I am stoked to get this party started. So you guys have a great rest of your night. Have a great weekend. Stay tuned, though, to the channel. You might see me put up some random low-tech, straight from iPhone to YouTube videos while I'm messing around during WrestleMania weekend. So keep an eye on the channel. You'll get some stuff from me. Otherwise, the next time I'll see you in this format will be Monday night after Monday Night Raw.